Hi everyone, I'm Nina Zeta, Director of Partnerships at Sidewalker Daily, and today we're going to talk about a question that comes to me time and time again. How much to charge for a sponsored post on Instagram? Now, this is something, it's a really hot topic because as you may know, I work on the brand side, so I work with PR agencies and tourism boards and hotels on their influencer marketing, but I also work with bloggers and influencers and content creators to help them set up sustainable businesses online. So I know a lot of my students are, struggling to find out how much should they charge for a sponsored post. The first place I always say to start is to ensure you actually have influence. And this is super important. I just did a video on how to test your influence, so I'm going to link to that below. So make sure you watch that so you can even see if you're ready to start earning money on Instagram. And if you feel that you are, then there's different ways to look at it. If you're providing your client reusable assets that they can use. So when I mean that, sorry, I get a little marketing, but what that really means is like content, photos, things that they can reuse in their marketing efforts, then you can charge whatever you feel is fair because at the end of the day, you're giving them content. Now, if you're charging for influence, there's more strings attached. You actually have to be able to drive sales, brand awareness, with real followers. And ultimately, you're the only one that knows how you got those followers. If you're not too sure of where you stand, then go by the old saying, under promise, over deliver. That is the best place to start because people always have like that good feeling if you over deliver for them. So where should you start? Start by asking the brand for a budget. If you are looking to see how much you should charge for your posts, it really often depends on what their budget is. So step one is always asking for a budget and knowing in your head kind of like what your base rate is. Now for Instagram, there's probably like 3 or 4 different ways that you can charge. You can charge per post. You can charge for a video, you can charge for stories, and ultimately if it's part of the highlight reel and that's something that you wanted to add in, you could charge for that. Me personally, that would be something that I would suggest to not charge for and just kind of give as an add-on. Again, even if it's, you bundle in that fee into your story fee, it just makes the client feel good. So let's talk about different ways that you can come up with your price for your sponsored post on Instagram. Now, the first, I like to recommend this option for people that have current day jobs because you're already, making a living. So this is going and having an hourly rate. Now, it may sound like, but at the end of the day, you already have work and you need to take time from that work to make up this work. Or maybe it's work that you do on after hours. So if you have your hourly rate, you can kind of decide how you want to move forward with that. And I always suggest having like a specialty rate as well. So if you're doing video or some really technical editing, you can charge a little bit more for that hour than you would an hour that's a bit more basic. If you're doing it hourly, you're also going to want to make sure that you bundle in any sort of expenses that you need to produce that shoe. Now, you can decide, if you want to charge miles if you're driving or if you're just going to eat that cost as a cost of, doing business. Ultimately, that's up to you. But you're going to want to consider all the extra costs that sometimes arise and make sure you bundle that into your hourly rate. When it comes to hourly rate, you're not going to tell the brand the hourly rate. You're going to give them a day rate. But in order to get to that day rate, you need to kind of know what you're charging by hour. So I wouldn't suggest going to the brand with the hourly rate, but it's more something to help you figure out where you want to be. So the second way that you can charge for a sponsored post is based on your engagement. The formula that we like to use is in the blog post, so I've put the link below. So this formula is going to help you charge per engagement. You're not charging on your followers, but you're charging on like your total number of followers, but you're charging based on the people that are engaging with you, and you're assigning them like a value. So you're going to come up with that number and multiply it times your average engagements. And then the third way that you could do this is it's a marketing term. It's called CPM and it's cost per thousand. This formula is also in the blog post. And basically with this formula, you figure out your engagement rate. So if you have really high engagement, you can charge more for every 1,000 people that see your post. And if you have lower engagement rate, you just charge like a lower number. It can be like $5 for, I don't know, 2% engagement, or $10 for 20% engagement. And then you're going to take that number and multiply it by per 1,000. It sounds confusing, so definitely take a look at the blog post because it's going to outline it really clearly for you. And if you need help coming up with your Instagram, sponsored rate posts, feel free to reach out to us. We offer coaching services and we work with you to figure out the best rate that you're comfortable with based on, your circumstances. There's some of my students, they are not in it for necessarily to make a full-time living. They're supported by their partners, so they are comfortable, pricing themselves differently. And some people are like, this is my full-time thing. I need to make this work for me. And we're going to take all those variables into account when coming up with your sponsored post rate. And just so you know, there's another tool that a lot of people like to use. It's up to you. It's called Social Blue Book. This is like a website where you just put in your information and it spits out a rate for you. You can use that if you feel comfortable. A lot of people, like to use it. For me, I'm a bit more of a nerd and like to crunch the numbers myself. So I rather come up with a formula that I could justify versus an online tool, but to each his own. That is definitely available for you too. So it's called Social Blue Book. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know coming up with your price can be daunting, but it's good to practice. It's good to just get started. I think that's the most important point, is get started. And sometimes something that really works for me, at least with my clients, is if I price myself too low, I'll know because I get a yes every single time. And that's when you need to kind of go a little bit higher. And then if people are always saying no, you can go a little bit lower. Pricing yourself is an art. And the more practice and the more you try, the more confident you'll feel in it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, comment, and make sure to subscribe to our channel for all things business related to influencer marketing. And I will see you in the next video.